Hello there guys. In this video I'm going to be building this M18 Hellcat from Tamiya. This was a newly tooled kit in 2022, making it one of Tamiya's more recent releases, and of course it includes all of the innovations in their design that they've made up to that point. The M18 itself was a relatively late entry into World War II, being deployed by US forces from spring 1944. It actually has the same 76mm gun as some Shermans had at the time, but being a tank destroyer it was more lightly armoured than the Sherman and therefore was able to achieve higher speeds. The M18 was primarily used in Western Europe, although a few were used in Italy and even in the Pacific. The Hellcat wasn't used by any other nations during World War II, as there was basically no interest from the Brits or the Soviets in a Lend-Lease version. So going straight into the kit, and we've got Tamiya's standard sort of olive grey plastic. Here I'm cutting the parts out using my new Steady Tools snips. These are fantastic and well worth the money. If you haven't checked them out, they are carried by a number of model shops. Steady Tools themselves don't seem to have a web page, but they do have an Instagram page. As you can see, just cutting those parts out, even without sanding anything, the bathtub style hull builds up really easily. And this is my kind of kit interior, having the fighting compartment which you can see from the exterior, but nothing which you can't. Building up the lower hull and the suspension is as straightforward as you might imagine. Lots of detail there, and I basically built up everything on the underside but left the wheels off. And then I deviated slightly from the instructions when we got to the ammo racks and the sponsons, because of course these ready rounds here are supposed to go in the sponsons. They're going to be visible through the open turret, so they really need painting before we put them inside. So for that reason I went for a sub-assembly approach, where I built as much of the upper hull as I could, but left these sponsons separate. Being a Tamiya kit, we tend not to get any photo etch, so these grills are injection molded plastic, but I think they do a perfectly good job there. We get an option of two slightly different fenders in the kit. I wasn't building any particular M18, so I just went for one that I preferred. We do of course have the option for posing the hatches open. In this kit we only get one figure, which is a standing commander figure. I did consider raiding my spare parts box and finding a US tank driver figure, but I couldn't quite find one that worked and that was a fairly recent figure and therefore was of the same high standard as the one included in this kit. I've got quite a few of the old sort of 1980s style Tamiya Sherman drivers with just a sort of the upper torso and head sticking out, but they're not quite up to the same standard as the modern figures. Again, no photo etch for things like these headlight protectors, which personally I absolutely prefer. I much prefer the injection molded plastic. I think it looks absolutely fine, even if it is slightly out of scale. Moving on to the turret, and again I did deviate slightly from the instructions here. The instructions would have you build up the turret and the gun and assemble them all together before any painting. But of course there's so many nooks and crannies inside there, that's going to make life very difficult indeed. Therefore I wanted to keep the two sub-assemblies separate, but of course that's not without its own problems, because the turret cannot be fully completed until the gun is in place. However, I did build up what I could, and what I thought I could reasonably get an airbrush to. You can see as I slide the gun into place here that it would really make painting very difficult. We get a slide moulded barrel with just a very fine seam line that needs sanding away. The turret ring and floor was another part that I left separate for now, again to aid painting. And here we are with our turret sub-assemblies. So we've got the upper part of the turret. We do have some spare tracks that go on the back there. We've got the gun breech, and then we've got that separate ring. And if we dry fit those, that looks pretty decent, I would say. That's not a seam line there on the canvas cover. Well, actually it is a seam line, but it's a moulded seam line of the canvas, not a injection moulding seam line. And here you can see as well, as I pull the kit apart, that I still haven't done those sponsons yet. Moving on to the painting, and I gave a coat of black primer to all of the interior parts and the lower hull parts as well. In terms of paint, the M18 was of course painted olive drab. When I looked at reference photos, I didn't see any evidence of camouflage schemes on M18s. I did see a couple with a winter whitewash scheme, but I saw nothing like the black or the yellow earth or the red earth disruptive schemes which the US sometimes used. I'd run out of my AK Real Colours olive drab, and I didn't really want to buy a whole pot of paint just for one model, so I went for a colour which I haven't used much, which is Tamiya XF51 khaki drab. And I was fairly happy with that, so I then went over all of the interior components. So that includes the floor, of course, of the fighting compartment, it includes the sponsons, and the underside of the upper hull, the interior of the upper hull. We need a brass colour for the rounds in the sponson racks. Unfortunately, the Galeri metal colours I used recently don't have a dedicated brass colour, but one of these gold colours might, and in the end this is the one I went for, which was the champagne gold. This was brushed on. This is just one coat which hasn't given great coverage, but I do add a second coat later, and even though they will be barely visible, I try to put some red rings on the rounds to indicate their type. This was also my opportunity to do some detail painting of the leather seats inside the turret using the Vallejo model colour range. Now, link and length tracks are my least favourite type of tracks. More specifically, I really don't like the individual little links that always go around the end. And also, of course, it makes it quite hard to keep the tracks and the wheels separate for painting. But if you are going to do link and length tracks, then the Tamiya ones seem to be the best to me. And it's not a huge innovation, but it's just one thing they have which makes it much easier to use them, and it's a little notch they tend to have on one of their return rollers, which just aligns the top length correctly. And once that's in place, of course, everything else naturally falls into place too. I think that's the big problem I have with other manufacturers that don't do that I just get the lengths too far left or right, and of course that shifts the links around and everything, and the whole thing becomes a bit of a mess. But yeah, just that one little groove that they have in their plastic really, really helps. Here are the tracks once I've built them up. And then I airbrushed them with a combination of brown and XF69 NATO black in a ratio measured entirely by eye. I tried to use a very fine airbrush here so I wouldn't get too much overspray, but of course because I am using the paint in very thin layers, any overspray I do get either is not noticeable or just looks like a little bit of shadow or weathering. Since this is the last access I'll really have to these tracks, it was the perfect time to dry brush the raised metal areas. I could then attach the sponsons to the upper hull and then the upper hull to the lower hull. And many of the images that we see of the Hellcat have lots and lots of stowage on board, so I grabbed a few bits from the spare parts box. This part on the left here looks like it's made out of some sort of two-part epoxy. I may have made that myself at some point, although it looks far too good to be something that I've made. The other pieces here you'll recognise from standard Tamiya kits across the 70s and 80s, I'm sure. And I also pulled this set out from the stash from Mini Art. I know it says British rucksacks and so on, but the big long canvas there is going to look fine on the side of this vehicle. In fact, because I wanted it to lay flat on the side here, I had to cut a little bit of it away in order to make it flush. I have no idea why I didn't just pop those tools off and put it on flat, but anyway, I didn't. I glued these pieces of stowage into place now so that I could use some 1mm Tamiya tape to act as tie-down straps for them. Normally I wouldn't use the string that Tamiya provides for the tow cable, but unfortunately I didn't have any metal cable, or at least none of the correct scale. As you can see, Tamiya give us two very similar schemes, March 1945 and April 1945, both in Italy, both in olive drab, although very bright on this printed page. And the most significant difference really seems to be the numbers on the side, which have either a yellow background or a white background. I've got a couple of plans for weathering this, which will mean the yellow background looks better, so that's what I went for. As I mentioned, I did consider using either of these US colours to add some camouflage, but in the end I decided to go for the overall olive drab. And although I haven't shown it here, I've now painted the entire kit in that XF51. And I've put a gloss coat of VMS varnish down where the decals will go. These decals on the side of the turret are slightly more difficult because they have the stowage bin in the way. To be fair, the instructions do tell us to put the decals down before we add the stowage bin, but to my mind that just made life even more difficult, so I didn't do that. With the decals down and drying, I painted the stowage in a variety of Vallejo model colours, sticking with your standard sort of khaki, drab, olive drab colours. I always enjoyed this simple technique for painting things like tools and tow cables. Just slide a small piece of paper like a post-it note underneath them so that you don't get any brushwork on the model itself. And I think now that is looking suitably loaded. It just looks a lot heavier, doesn't it, with all those things on it. And then the first part of my M18 Hellcat build was complete. I do of course have plans to weather this and paint the figure, but that will be a separate video, so until then, let's have a look at the final result. So there we go guys, that was my build of Tamiya's 1/35th scale M18 Hellcat, as used in Italy in 1944. As you saw, and as you might expect, this was a pretty straightforward build. Tamiya make everything nice and easy for you. Even areas which might be slightly trickier to deal with, such as the tracks which are hidden by the upper hull, or the sponsons which are hidden, were fairly easy to deal with. I am of course going to give this some weathering, and I'm thinking a little bit about a small amount of snow and ice on this. No base for it I don't think, although I will also paint the figure that comes with it because it is such good quality. However, that will be a future video, and until then I would like to say thank you to all of you for watching, and special thanks to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members for their ongoing support of the channel. It is hugely appreciated, and I really enjoy the conversations that we do have over on the Patreon page, so thank you very much for all that, guys. I hope to see you in my next video, and with the Christmas holidays being here, hopefully that video now won't be too far away. So until then, thank you again for watching, and have fun modelling.